Hey YouTube, how's it going? This is one of my first videos for this channel. I've got a 94 Mazda Miata that I'm rebuilding the engine on, and I've just decided to start filming it. I'm in the middle of putting pistons in. I did end up getting this one all set up, but I accidentally hadn't had the second ring compressed in the compressor correctly, so it broke the ring, so I had to order a new set of rings. But figured I'd go through and just show you guys how to do at least one ring, though you guys can understand how it works and everything. But yeah, let's see how it goes. So start off, you want to get your rings set up. The ones I have are marked for which groove they go in. So you got your third groove, which is your oil rings, and then you got your first groove, which would be your first compression ring, and then you get your second groove, which is your second compression ring. I've already gapped the first ring for cylinder number 2. I just took that off so it'd be easier to show you how to gap these and everything. So what you're going to do is take all this out of the bag, and I'm just going to do the second ring. Usually start with the first. It doesn't really matter which ones you start with, but these ones, I don't know if you can see it, but it's labeled top right here on this side. The easiest way I find to put them in is you kind of squeeze them with your fingers a little bit and put them in the cylinder sideways like that with the gap pointed up, and then you rotate them to where they slide in like that. And then I like to take the piston and just lightly set it in there to where it pushes that ring evenly. I didn't like the way that one went in there, so I'm just going to pull it back up just a little bit so I can get it in there properly. Like that. So you can kind of see how it's just sitting in there nice and even. And then you're going to take your good old feeler gauges, and then you're going to check the gap on the ring end gap right there. I don't know if you can see that very well, but there's a little gap. Usually you want to go by a factory spec, but for this engine I plan on putting a turbo on it, so I'm gapping them to 18 thousandths of an inch. So we're going to start off small, see if this ring needs to be gapped at all. Most of the time they do. Okay, so 16 thou goes in there nice. Let's try 17. 17's oh wait, 17 goes in there. About 18. Does 18 go in there? It does. Okay, but does 19 go in there? Not really. So I don't know, it goes in there. Let's try a different ring, because I don't want 19. It's a little too much of a gap for my liking. All these rings are usually different, so pull this back up, get my piston, gently slide it in there, where it pushes that ring back down so it is in there nice and flat in the cylinder. And we'll recheck this one. Okay, I see this one's better. 16 does not want to go in there, so we'll try 15 next. 15 fits. And then just to double check, we'll do 16 again, just to make sure. Yeah, okay, so 16 is not going in there very nicely, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you guys how to gap it, at least from my understanding. So this is just a generic ring gapping tool. It's just a grinding disc, and then you've got these 2 pins on either end. I like to grind from the right side, so what you're going to do is you're going to push your ring up to both these pins, right, and then rotate it to where it gently meets the grinding disc, and you don't want to have too much pressure, and this disc isn't really true straight, so it wobbles a little bit. So I just put my fingers on both ends and just let the ring move with the disc and grind off a little bit at a time. I'll show you if I can get a good angle on this. Yeah, okay, that's good enough. I'm also going to make sure that my top face is up. And then I like to go in a clockwise rotation of the crank. So you just start with about 5 turns. I can't remember if it's 5 or 6, but as you can see, it starts to grind that ring away on the ends. And you don't want to go too much at once because you want to go back and just check your gap again. And then you just keep doing that until you get your gap you want. And then you go ahead and put the rings on the piston. I'll show you when I get done doing the gapping. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so now that I've got that ring gapped, I'll show you how to get these rings on this piston. You're going to want a tool like this one. It's just a ring spreader. I'll show you how to use that. And then you gotta make sure you put your rings in the right positions on the piston in the grooves, because you don't want to mix those up or you could have some compression problems or oil burnage. Just gotta be real careful with that kind of stuff. But I'll show you how to do this. So usually start from top down, or from the bottom up. Sorry. So you're gonna usually do your oil rings first. And then you go to your second compression ring, and then your first compression ring. So what you're going to do is get your little pliers, make sure you find out where top is on your ring, and then you just get your spreader, put it in the tool, and just gently spread it out like that. And then take a piston, and you just slide it over, put it in that second groove, and then release it gently, and then it should be in there nice and easy like that. And then you do your second one, or I guess your first ring, technically. You want to make sure you look at the bevels on these, because they are up and down specific, and this ring particularly doesn't tell me which is top, but I think the bevels are the same. But I'm gonna do this side for top just because it makes me feel better. From what I can see on the bevel, it looks a little bit larger. So just do the same thing for this one. Slide it over, slide it in the groove, release it gently. And then putting it in the compressor is another scary thing to do, because you want to make sure you get your rings lined up. Mazda, specifically on this Miata, wants the compression rings at a 60-degree difference. So I've just been going off the side skirt, really. And then on my oil ring, I just put it on the back and line up my ends and everything, just center, and then on the sides, just for peace of mind. So let's see if I can get this in the compressor. I am going to put a little bit of oil on this and wipe this compressor out since last time I used it. I'll put you guys up here and see if this is better. And forgive me for this videography. It's my first video, so yeah, that'll work. Hopefully you guys don't fall. Okay, get some oil on here. I'm just gonna dump it on the rings. Put a towel underneath it first. I'm just using regular 5W30 motor oil, just to make sure the rings are lubricated. And too much isn't a problem, in my opinion. So, and then you always want to make sure you know where your front of your piston is. Mine has a dot. And then make sure you line up your rings, and then slide your compressor over. Oh, I need to grab the tool for that. One moment. It's in the car. Okay, I got my tool. I'm going to release this so I can extend this compressor out a little bit like that. Get your piston, gently put it in here without losing your rings. Position like that. Oh, there goes my towel. The wind is kind of windy right now. you squeeze this down. Make sure your rings are going into their spots like they should. Which this one seems to be working just fine. Let's see if I can get this to. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Then, oh, I gotta move you guys now. So then you're gonna wanna lube up the cylinders with the oil again, and you're gonna line this up to where it's facing forward, which would be that way. So like that, in the cylinder, kind of like this one. And then you're just gonna lightly tap it in. There's a bunch of YouTube videos on that. I'm not gonna show you how to do that just because I'm kind of one-handed right now. So I'll get back to you when I get this piston in. Okay, well I got that piston in. It went in very smooth after learning from my mistake. Just a dead blow, and just lightly tap it in there and get those rings compressed. Now, I don't know if you can see it, Earl, but you want to make sure that your connecting rod lines up with the crankshaft. And also you want to take some assembly lube and lube up that bearing face as you put this down in there. So I'm just going to lightly go down a little bit and then come down here and check, see where I'm at. You can see I'm just right here. So a little bit more. And then come back down here and check again. It's getting close. So what I'm going to do is just lightly just tap from up top while looking down and just... Ooh, this is a little difficult doing one-handed, not going to lie. See if I can rotate this crank up a little bit. I don't know what I did to my wrists, but working or something. It's kind of hurt. Got some neighbors yelling at each other. What the? It's funny. Okay. You want to be careful with this kind of stuff because you don't want to hurt anything. It's not moving. Oh, that's probably because it's not in the right position. Alright, I gotta set you down for a second. Okay, well I got the connecting rod seated in there. So then you're gonna take your connecting rod bearing cap. Make sure you get a little assembly lube and just put a nice old glob on there. You don't want it to be dry when you go together, so because when you first start it up, you don't want to make any scratching or anything on these bearing surfaces. Make sure on these ones have letters, numbers on one side of the cap compared to the other side. So you got to line up those on each of the rods as well. On these ones at least, they're manly rods, so just make sure you get them all seated up in there properly. Get your bolts. I also like to dip these in motor oil as well. I'm not gonna... Oh, come on. Okay, that's good enough. Just a little bit. That way when they go in there, they don't gall any threads or seize up on themselves or pull any threads, you know, just precautions. Especially if you gotta take it apart again. You don't want them to get dry. So you put those in there, and I will torque these down later. I don't have the tools with me at the moment just because I didn't expect to be working on this weekend because I've been waiting for parts to arrive. But I will definitely get it snugged down. I think my socket's in the car. For these particular rods, it's an 11mm 12-point socket. So, but yeah, we gotta find a ratchet now too. I don't know if I got a ratchet in this toolbox. I got a 1/2 inch. Okay, I got a ratchet. That'll get it close enough for now. Make sure you got it in the on position. If you left it on overnight, make sure you charge your ratchet because then it won't work. So, basically just evenly tighten these down, not too hard until you torque them, just because you want to make sure that you don't hurt your torque specs or anything, or stretch bolts or pull threads. Make sure you go evenly and everything. So yeah, just basically like this. Ooh, if I can get on it, that'd be nice. And then, yeah, so that's basically all I can do now until I get the rest of my parts, my head gasket and everything. Yes, this is the 94 Miata M Edition that I've been slowly working on and everything. Yeah, if you got any questions, let me know, or if you got any suggestions on how I should do stuff, let me know, just because it's my first time doing this. Yeah, have a good one.